Hi, this is Chris with CodeChris.com. Thank you for watching, and I want to talk about the pros and cons of tutorials. Now, for a majority of us, tutorials are everything. I mean, we've learned a lot of what we have from tutorials, right? And that consists not only of like the video tutorials, paid ones, and classes. And so we go with these various tutorials on Udemy, Udacity, Codecademy, whatever the case is. It's a great learning tool, right? Now, a couple of things. First of all, if you're like, well, Chris, this is so great, how come you're not doing tutorials? The reason I don't do tutorials at this moment, and I say at this moment because the truth is, eventually I probably will. Right now, the knowledge that I know, there's an abundance of it already online. Although I could definitely see doing some things better, but I digress. Let's go through some of this. So the pros is that you do get a chance to touch everything. The instructor is going to know and be able to guide you on what you should learn in a sequential order. When you're learning programming for the first time, frameworks, whatever, you don't know where to start, man. There's just words, phrases, concepts. You don't know what's high level, what's low level, what's in the middle. On that side, you do have the advantage where somebody is sequentially starting you from what is baby step number 1. Oh, right here. And it's a really good way of going through this process and building stuff, because you get much more excited when you're actually building things, right? When you're actually creating stuff and it's actually working, right? Which brings me to actually the first con. One of the cons of tutorials is that they do get out of date. Software is changing all the time. These tutorials, if they're a couple years old, they might not be the most accurate. And so at that point, now you're relying on some of the forums, some of the question and answer section, the comments below, to be able to successfully complete their tutorial.
That don't make no sense.
I had this problem recently where I was stuck for like a week or two. Some of those things that were involved was the fact that some of the material was simply outdated. So at this point, I'm now at the mercy of the teacher and whether or not they respond back to me, whether they respond to anybody with similar issues, which the answer was no. So now I'm on my own, which is a great thing because that's when you learn the most. But I do want to definitely clarify that that is also a big hindrance, because if you're following a tutorial because you want to get through the entire thing and you're stuck, not because of any actual thing that you've done, or you don't know if it's something you've done. You're learning something brand new. So you don't know if it's something that you've done particularly as, you know, a rookie mistake, if it's something that's involved with old software. So that's kind of one of the cons of tutorials. But by all means, the pros, there's definitely plenty of pros. And especially because a lot of the pros are, hey, there's a ton of free ones online. Now, I'm not saying that I'm one of those people who say like, oh, you get what you pay for. Free is bad. Free is not bad. There's a ton of great resources online that are free. YouTube alone has a ton of videos on a bunch of things. You can pay for courses, and you know, there's definitely some cheap ones out there and some that are justified in that cheapness, and some that really are giving you a great deal and have a really good teacher that's involved. But another thing that can end up happening with tutorials is that you can also, this is a con, you can also become reliant on them. And this is actually something that I've done, I know you've done. If you haven't done it yet, you definitely will. What would end up happening is you will go through the tutorial and not learn a single thing.
I'm learning.
If you're just copying exactly what the guy's doing on the screen, you aren't necessarily learning anything. You're just copying. If you understand why he's doing something, what the purpose of that is, or how it works, what's the point of even doing the tutorial? If there are parts of it that stick, that kind of make sense, and you try to rebuild it on your own, and there's parts that you get stuck at, and you like might reference the material, or you might have to look stuff up, that's fine. Clearly some of the information is sticking. You're not going to watch one tutorial for, 20 hours, learn, Java, right? And suddenly be like a Java master. That's just not the way it works. It takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of practice. Which also brings me to one of the pros. Sometimes some of these common issues, these common bugs you'll end up getting, the developer or the teacher or whatever will already know that that's something that you're going to have an issue with. Whether it's setting up your machine correctly, downloading certain programs or libraries, they'll walk you through that process. And for somebody who's brand new and has never done any of that stuff, that is a huge benefit because you don't have to figure that out on your own. You can start to see how with code you can grab all these different pieces from different places and use them. The con all these random bugs and kinks and all these random things following alongside him, but for some reason, what's on your screen doesn't quite look like what's on his, and you don't know why. And you might be able to follow the code line for line and at that point be able to figure it out. But I don't know if that's a con. It's a pro. It's a pro and con, right? Because sometimes if you can make it look the way it's supposed to look, but you're doing something different, it could also be something like, oh, well, they've changed the way something works. Really, a lot of this just comes down to like the release. The release is just, the issue is that all the time there's just newer versions, new terminology, new things, and that's just what's gonna happen. If you know what you're doing and you're learning it that way, it does make it easier for when you are going through this stuff, because you understand how to hunt down what it is you're looking for and to find it better online. So in that sense, tutorials, they give you a good starting point. If you were able to extract just pieces scattered throughout it, you're making progress, and you can start to use those scattered pieces, research, look online, and fill in the gaps to get to the next piece. Anyways, that's just my thoughts on tutorials. They're a pro and a con. I'm not gonna say don't do tutorials. They are great. Let me know your thoughts on it. There are pros and cons. Although I don't do tutorials yet, probably will eventually. Just haven't really gotten to that point yet. Anyways, this is ChrisCodeChris.com. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.